Alright, first time doing a video like this, but what the heck, figured to give it a shot. Today I wanted to show off, do a little bit of show and tell on my 1991 Toyota pickup with a 7 MGE Supra swap. Been a lot of them out there, not a lot of the guys out there that do that show their entire rigs all together with whatever little bits they've done. Interior wise, I really haven't done much to it. She's pretty much all stock. Except the biggest thing was DVD radio unit. Gotta have it when you're out camping, on the trails, having fun. Speakers. If you want a good sound system, I highly suggest 8-inch, not 6-inch, not the 6.5s, not the oblong 6.9s. An 8-inch Scar audio with an aftermarket unit. You cannot beat it out of just 2 speakers. The sound system sounds great. I'll play that some other time. For now, had to do, see if I can get this to focus better. Had to do a good tack because the factory tack was for a 22RE 4-cylinder. It does not work anymore. Inline 6, 4, yeah, I pinged it out one time and the needle went over here and stayed there. Gauges, temperature, oil pressure, they're connected. Voltage, fuel, they are accurate. Everything else is, yeah, good, stock, fair condition other than the sandy. Forgive that. I live at the beach, so that's a given. Let's hop out here. So, this is the truck in its entirety. I'm trying to use the camper to block the wind, so if you can't hear me, I'm sorry, but bear with me. So this is my 91 Toyota pickup. Took a canopy shell and built 22-inch height walls from there up to there, and then built the same thing, 22-inch cab over, and went off-roading. Low branches, low hanging trees, I just push right on through and it lifts it up on the front end and it slides over. I've taken this thing through many narrow trails, and the evidence of that is clear. You can see for the most part the side of this truck, good, not much damage. You can see wiped out taillight before. Same thing on this side. This side, I don't know how well it will show through. You can see that that panel is pretty horribly concaved. You can see that my mud flaps are wiped out. Last year, snow wheeling, there were a couple of fallen trees, and well, I just said, to heck with it. I drove over them and through them, and that was the result. Coming around, I do have it sitting on 35 by 12.5 15-inch wheel Mickey Thompson Baja Boss. These tires are ridiculously good. They were a little pricey, but you get what you pay for, and I have not had any issues with that at all. Absolutely love it. Again, typical of all Toyotas, you'll notice just a whole antenna, long gone, and I've been too busy to really deal with it. Let's face it, whoever listens to the radio, we've all got YouTube and iHeartRadio and satellite radio. Radio's obsolete. You can see snow wheeling. I was able to straighten that one out. Well, put it bluntly, half cocked. Doors, typical Toyota on the beach. Eventually, someday, I keep telling myself, well, I'll get around to fixing it. Suspension wise, I've just got a little 1.5-inch block in the back, factory springs. Take note, or I should say, pay no mind to the disconnected parking brake cable in the back end. Front end is a little bit different. I'm a little bit proud of this. Didn't like the factory IFS. Solid axle swaps have their place, but IFS is always in my heart. So I wanted to make something that was a bit more me. Cut the control arms. Each control arm is lengthened 3.5 inches, so the front end is 7 inches wider than factory. Obviously, I got the Smitty built winch, bumper. You can see it's taking some hard impacts. I'm out on the beach, people riding around, doing their thing. Truck overall, as for modifications, it is 4.7 crawl gear in the transfer case. It is twin locked with Spartans, front and back. You'll get a lot of people saying, oh, don't lock the front end. I will actually tell you, unless you're going to be driving on the pavement in four-wheel drive in the rain regularly, I preferred my front Spartan locker over the back any day of the week. Because when you're out on the trail, the Spartan locker does fantastic. You don't get a lot of binding on sharp corners, on rocky terrains. It does fantastic. It allows the front end to really climb its way up over on top of an obstacle and then drag the rest of it over. It's absolutely fantastic. Get a close-up. A few things I learned when I did my long travel. You can see there is the extension for that. If you look close, you can see my welds. That's where it was all extended. It is sleeved with box tube on the inside, welded, and then boxed all the way in up to here on the bottom with 1/4-inch plate. Factory ball joints, everything else is factory. CV axles are from a Toyota T100 because they are that 3.5-inch wider. Absolutely love it. It handles great. Yeah, I could use some stiffer springs. It is a little soft. People I know have been dubbing it the trophy camper because around the corners they say that they can see daylight underneath the inside wheel on a corner. The only thing I noticed big time was my idler arm. I snapped 3 idler arms when wheeling. I needed something beefier, so I built this. What this is a 1-inch trailer spindle, factory idler arm bracket that I cut and ground down to fit this perfectly. I did a root pass, 2 base passes, and then covered it up again, so it's got a total of 4 beads of heavy weld going through there. Lower section, this is a piece of Schedule 40 tubing, which I threw up in my lathe, milled down to fit those 1-inch trailer bearings. This is a piece of 1/4-inch plate that goes around it. Both of these are 2 pieces of 1.25-inch tube at 1/4-inch wall with heim joints. These are 3/4-inch heim joints with spacers on the inside. I did it this way because the biggest issue I was having when the wheel would flex and twist, the entire drag link would twist and flex up. So much to the point that it was actually punching, I don't know how well that will show, it was actually punching my oil pan. This entire lower would shift up and punch underneath hard compression. That was no good. So I needed something that would keep it from twisting and be beef as all hell. They'll never have an issue with it. Zerk fitting on the bottom, I can grease the entire thing. This here is a piece of 1/4-inch wall, 1 1/4 or 1 1/2, I forgot what I used. And then I just cut the factory adjusters, welded them in nice and straight, so that came out nice and neat. And then you can see, looks like I need to re-wrap my header. It looks like I'm missing some header wrap. Fell off once on the trail. My wife had some hairpins, and you can see that those are bobby pins that are holding my header wrap on because it all fell apart. Front side, it's still good. Rear, fell apart, bobby pinned. Called it good. Let's go. Pop the hood here. Just come on. There we go. So, first thing you'll see is a whole lot of janky. I keep telling myself that I'm gonna tear it all apart, rewire it, make it look all pretty. Well, it's been about 2, 3, 4 years. I'll get to it eventually. Let me know in the comments if you think I ever will. So, everything is factory. Brake booster, factory. I still have my emission system. That is in there. Just because on the highway it does help with fuel mileage just a little bit on these 7MGE motors. You can see 7MG, it is dirty. You can see it's just road dirt, no actual grease or oil. The motor was a blown motor and I honed it all out, rebuilt it. Fart cans, gotta love them. So you can see The header itself, if I recall correctly, it was a OBX header that I got with the motor, and I ended up cutting all the tubes, shortening them up, bringing them in tighter, re-welding everything, because they actually stuck way out to here and they were pointing directly at my control arm. So I had to shorten them all up. I built the exhaust all from scratch. I will show that in this little video as well. Motor mounts. For the most part, I don't know how well it will show up here. Let's see here. You can see that right there is the motor mount. Again, more janky. I need to finish building a solid motor mount for this side. I haven't gotten around to it. The other side, we'll come up over here. You can see that side down there is a solid motor mount. Yeah, my fuel little piece, I just didn't, to be honest, I've been lazy. Everything is tight and secure. It doesn't, well, it didn't. Well, we'll just call that good for now. Just out of sight. Next, so the radiator. I keep telling myself, this is the second super swap that I've done on a 91. The first one I did do correct motor or radiator mounts. This one here I have not. It's still bungee cord, twine. Yeah. If we get up underneath here, you can see that it came loose once and hit. And honestly, I just threw some radiator sealant in it and forgot about it, really. Worked great ever since. There's another view of that. Like I said, I built that new idler arm out of a 1-inch trailer bearing, all reinforced, boxed in, because I broke 3 of the factory ones. All at the same spot, right at the arm. They kept tweaking on me, so. Lights, all gone. LED, so I'm all still legal. If anybody wants a reliable winch, go with Smittybilt. This winch has been out like this for 3.5 years since it was on my last truck, which was rear-ended by a drunk driver. It still works. Still reliable. Never had any issues with it. And yes, for anybody who was wondering, I do run this thing with dual batteries. I had to pull out my auxiliary battery to power one of my other cars because the battery died in it. Temporary, it will be put back in. So the motor is completely rebuilt from the ground up. New rods, new mains, new rings, new head gasket, ground down all the valves so everything seats and sits perfectly. Eventually I do need to get around to relocating my coil over to the other side so I don't have this long string of jank just sitting there. Make sure it's actually in there. Had issues with that once before. Power steering is just lines run over to the new power steering pump. That is a Toyota Supra power steering pump. So all I did is just bent some of the factory lines, rerouted them, and I had them going up to the factory steering box. Other than that, everything's good. For the most part, factory intake, other than this little bit, and I just ran the breather line for my power steering right into the bottom of the boot. Everything else is stock. I do not have a bypass valve for my heater core, so the heater core is just constantly pushing hot water. The truck itself has a 2-inch body lift, so I only had to do a very little bit of massaging to get the EGR to fit down in there correctly. Just a little bit. So that wasn't too bad at all. But now I guess we'll get to the fun part of what everybody really wants to know is what's it sound like. We'll pop it underneath here real quick. You can see there's that exhaust on back. And I did sit everything to where it sits just right at the frame. You can see factory Toyota Supra muffler. Well, not factory, aftermarket flow through, but it's for a Toyota Supra. The pipe, pardon the shakiness. The pipe, there is my exhaust pipe coming right out almost at the factory location. I didn't want to make it look aftermarket. It's funny. My best reactions are from people that go to pass me and they have trouble doing it because they don't expect this to keep up, yet alone pass them. Reverse light, when I did my engine swap, I had to cut the harness. Unfortunately, ended up cutting the harness for my backup light. 50-inch light bar. There's my backup light. You can see license plate up there. Got this marked out. I will eventually be putting in a Class 5 receiver hitch because I completely boxed in all this. This is all 1/4-inch angle that comes back, welded in solid, because the factory, the previous owner put one in and it was just junk, it tore out. So I boxed it all in. This is 3-inch diameter, 1/4-inch wall, square tube, welded in solid. So it's ridiculously strong. It ain't going nowhere anytime soon. Okay, let's get down to the good part. I'm sure most of the people, if you stayed in by now, you want to hear what it sounds like. So, see if this picks up. Yeah, pretty good. So, we're out in the dunes. What are we gonna do? We're gonna go climb a hill. All right. Yeah. All right, bear with me. Might get a little bit shaky. I do not have a phone mount in this truck. Don't have a camera mount. Eventually, I will get a GoPro mount set up so that everyone can see it properly. But for now, let's just hit it and see what happens. I'll try to hold it like this so you guys can see the RPMs. And cooling fan. Click. Okay, first gear. 4-wheel drive, high range. Let's see what happens. Ooh, it is foggy. Kind of hard to tell how big that hill is, but so, there we go. That's my truck. If you want more content, do me a favor, subscribe. You probably won't receive notifications, but I do plan on being more active with it. This truck just got back on the road because I blew up the rear end not too long ago, doing some fine-tuning tweaks to it. I am going to be taking it out into the mud real soon, as well as some snow wheeling out in the mountains, and I'm going to get some rock crawling in here for you too. So by all means, leave a thumbs up, leave me a comment. If there's anything that any of you would like me to look at, by all means, please leave a comment. Let me know what you want me to go over, show you. I mean, I could show you the diagram for wiring in the ECU. My ECU is not behind the kick panel. I flooded the truck once before, had water up to the floorboard. Thank God I mounted it back here behind the glove box. So that's all good. And yeah, unlike some people that do the 7M swaps, no jankiness on the inside. I still have a full glove box. Granted, it's poop bag for the dog, deodorant for when I'm stinky, coins, yeah. Sound system, I wonder. Let's go like this. Let's see. What's on the radio here? I need a Mac, take me daddy, take me out in the static. We can kick it to the boogity boogity break it down. I said it sounds like fun, but I ain't with it. But it's still a good boy, I just might let you hold my hand because I ain't. Don't know what the hell that song is, but yeah. Not bad for literally just 2 8-inch scars, and they fit beautifully down there. That's it. No other sound system. thank you for sticking around for this long. I hope you all have a great day and a blessed day, and I'll catch you on the flip side.